welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. I'm your host today. I don't know if the intro worked then. You'll have to tell us in the comments. Joining me tonight for lots of chat about Spurs and all the things that have been going on. We can look to Frankfurt. We've got other bits and pieces. Tonight I've got joining me, Seb. Hello, Seb. How are you? How's your
Hello.
weekend?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to dissecting the performance from Saturday and, like you say, cracking on with well, it's going to be busy now. All the way through to the World Cup. It's going to be non-stop. So non-stop cheese, which is, in my opinion, that's a good thing. Not sure what other people think.
Yeah, absolutely. And also Gibbo up there in top right, pressing some buttons for us tonight as well. How are you, Gibbo?
Yeah, busy day. Looking forward to talking all things Spurs as usual. Like Seb said, plenty to talk about. Games coming up all the time, so you'll be seeing plenty of us. Yeah, looking forward to getting into it.
And Craig, you're becoming a bit of a regular. You were on with us on Friday, I think, wasn't it? Welcome along. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good. Thanks. Great to be back so quickly. And good to be back on with Gibbo as well. It's been a few weeks, Gibbo.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Good stuff, mate.
I'll put my apologies in first of all. I've got a cold. So there'll be times when I'll have to blank my screen and go off and blow my nose because nobody wants to watch that. But hopefully the adrenaline will power me through. But yeah, so like I said, we've got quite a few bits to kind of talk through tonight, which should be fab. I can see people in the comments already. Hello, John. Hello, Kerry. So the usual housekeeping bits for me, if you can like and subscribe for us, we would really, really appreciate that. And also, if you know of any kind of tried and tested cold remedies, drop them in the comments as well. Because being a teacher, I'm used to having all sorts of coughs and splutters, but anything that anybody's used that's worked, I'm happy to have a try.
The weirder, the better.
Yes, absolutely. I've already been offered Beecham's powders, and I was like, I don't do Beecham's powders because that's the sort of thing my dad would do. But yeah,
oh, no, I'm talking like leeches and things like that. Let's get some weird stuff.
Yeah, ones with like whiskey and stuff. Yeah. So I'll try anything. And so before we get going, we've got a couple of things we need to plug. So kit bag. Have we got a kit bag slide? I think.
Becky, I'm just having some technical difficulties. The slides have gone, but carry on telling people and I'll put it up as soon as I can.
So kit bag, if you follow the link is, as John says there, it's pinned. So if you can click through that link, because if you don't click through that link, we don't get any kind of recognition for it. There it is. I can see it in the link. There is, yeah. So if you click on that particular one, I know when I looked last week, there was a 30% discount, I think. So it's all genuine stuff. It's all genuine merchandise. So if you go in there and click the link, then we would really appreciate that. And the other one is football prizes. So Seb, do you know talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, as always, football prizes, they put a weekly Spurs prize up every week, funnily enough. And this week they've got a signed and framed Antonio Conte top. Now, they normally have 100, 125 odd tickets, and they normally sell pretty quick. This week, for some reason, it hasn't. It's only had 20, 25 odd tickets sold. So plenty of tickets still available. And obviously, they draw the prize anyway. So even if they get another 3 or 4 ticket sales, they'll still draw it. So fantastic odds to win. I think it's $4.95 a ticket. But you can use our exclusive code, CHEESE10. That's all letters, CHEESE10 for 10% off your entries. And that's on all prizes, not just the Spurs prizes. They have tech prizes, cash giveaways, things like that. As well as that, I should also say that there is an extra discount available for Patreon. We're obviously not going to give the code, but if you sign up to Patreon, then within the Patreon chat that we have on Slack, you'll be given the extra discount code for football prizes. But check out footballprizes.co.uk. Always great prizes.
And I've actually got a picture here now.
There we go.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, the purple kit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Look at that.
I noticed for a fact, Antonio Conte signed that on his very first day at Tottenham Hotspur.
Cool. So what does it say there? Closes tomorrow at 7:30. Yeah.
And the draw, they for anyone wanting to check it out, Football Prizes do a live draw on Facebook. I think the live draw for that is on Wednesday at 12:30. So they get all the entries in, and they do either a random number generator or a bit like bingo balls or something like that. draw your number out, and if you're lucky, you win. They're also on that one, because it's you don't pick your own number, they give you a number. If you were to pick out the number 50, you instantly win Spurs prize. And if you want to know how easy it is to win, Steve Diver of the Cheese Room, entered the competition they had a couple of weeks ago for a shirt that was signed by the entire squad, framed and everything, beautiful this season. And he entered that. He won. He got given number 14 as a ticket, which instantly won him a signed and framed Ivan Perisic shirt. And then number 14 got pulled out in the raffle, and he won the main prize as well. So for the sake of like a fiver, he won 2 prizes. It's ridiculous.
Blimey, cool.
Yeah.
And what did you say it was? Cheese 10. The code Cheese 10.
Cheese 10, all letters.
Cool. Okay.
Get involved, Becky.
Yeah, I think I will. Right. Okay. So unfortunately, we need to turn to the sad news now. Everyone at Cheese Room were deeply saddened to hear of the passing of former Spurs player John Duncan, who passed away on Saturday at the age of 73. I think some people did announce it during the Brighton game, but obviously there was other difficult things there. He was born in Dundee in February 1949, and he went on to play for Dundee and signed for Spurs in October of 1974. He went on to make 120 appearances in all competitions, scoring 62 goals. Duncan, having helped to get Spurs out of the old second division, was then sold to Derby County in 1978. In 1997, as manager of Chesterfield, he took the third division outfit to the brink of the FA Cup final, harshly having a goal not given us over the line despite TV replays showing it appeared to be, and obviously this is prior to goal line technology. It would have put the Spy Rights 3-1 up at Old Trafford against the Premier League Middlesbrough, who were down to 10 men at the time. And Davo will be here on Friday, and he will ask him to give his memories of John Duncan, as he's the only cheesehead who saw him play. So yeah, our thoughts are with his family. I know some of his ex-colleagues have kind of tweeted their sadness. I saw something the other day. So yeah, it's quite sad. But,
I'm sure
okay.
Dave will. Sorry, Seb, you carry on.
He was a very good player in what was possibly one of the worst Spurs sides of the last century. The 70s, particularly the early and mid 70s, weren't a good time to be a Tottenham fan. And in fact, there was a lot of people kind of switched off from Tottenham then. So fair play to David if he'd seen him and stuck with him through that time. But his goal scoring record is obviously, in a poor team, 1 in every 2 is fantastic. What I liked about him most, because I was aware of him. I think my dad actually knew him. But I like the fact that in his managerial career, he managed Chesterfield for a bit. Then when he got the sack, he just went into teaching. He was a teacher. He taught for 3 years at school. And then Chesterfield asked if he wanted to come back and manage them again. He was like, yeah, all right. Yeah, come and manage you again. Gave up his teaching job. So I think he only ever managed Chesterfield. So did Chesterfield, took a 3-year gap, went into teaching, then went back and managed Chesterfield for a bit longer. So yeah, great, good Tottenham through and through, it's sad news.
Yeah, shame. Okay, so let's move on to Saturday's encounter. So the evening kickoff against Brighton, and I was watching the Man City game in the afternoon. That's right. And we got to 4:30, and then the team that was announced, and this is how my life has changed so much. So I'd never done anything on YouTube before May, and I actually tweeted the numbers 352 on Saturday, something I've ever done in my life. And before May, I would never have really understood what that was, because all I was bothered about is your favourite players play, don't they? And you're happy. And now I'm looking at formations and which players are playing. But even I was like, oh, it's 352, and that means Basuma's playing. So that was a nice hour prior to kickoff, with everyone feeling quite happy. Twitter was as a happy, jolly place. Obviously, it's been a difficult week for Spurs, and we'll come on to that a little bit later. But yeah, it was, as John's written here in the run sheet, Twitter was rejoicing. Gibbo, what were your thoughts on the lineup?
I was pleased, to be fair. I think it was, for me, it was sort of like about time, and I thought Brighton would be a good game to do it. They control the ball in midfield, and obviously people who have heard me on and watched me on here before, it's been a slight issue of mine is that we sort of concede possession too much, and I wanted to see Basuma come in, so I was pleased that he switched it to 3-5-2. I think it allowed us obviously to bring Richarlison off the bench as well rather than him starting. So yeah, I was happy. Sessegnon and Doherty obviously coming at the wing backs, but yeah, I was pleased, and I was looking forward to the game. So yeah,
I was as well. I think like we suspected some changes. Obviously Emerson Royal was suspended, but I was surprised that he changed both wing backs. I know Sessegnon's played games recently, hasn't he? But to kind of rotate, not drop, Perisic was quite nice to kind of see that at the same time both times. Craig, what was your sort of thoughts on it?
I was shocked. I was literally shocked. I was on the pod on Friday, and I don't think any of us thought that would be the lineup. In fact, I think we all pretty much said it's a banker that Perisic would start, for example, at right wing back. So I thought he would stick 3-4-3. To see him go 3-5-2 shocked me. To see Matt Doherty start shocked me. And to see Sessegnon start actually shocked me as well. So, shocked by the team selection. I wasn't excited as perhaps the rest of Twitter was. I wasn't jumping. I'm not one of those that jump up, and I've been jumping up and down for 3-5-2 for reasons I'm sure we'll get onto as we talk through the game.
Yeah, Seb, what was your thoughts on it?
I was pleased. I said on pods for weeks now that I feel like we need to play 3-5-2. Now, the only game I've managed to get to this season was the Leicester game, and when Basuma came on at the end, look, I know Leicester were chasing the game, but there was so much control, evidenced by the last goal where Højbjerg is able to beat a man and then play it forward ball. And look, I don't want to repeat too much of what I said in the pods, but Højbjerg, as you're slightly further forward, I wouldn't say attacking midfielder, but certainly pressing and pushing further on. Whenever he's been asked to do that for Spurs and for Denmark, he's done it really well. And if you play that formation and you've got someone sitting in behind, I think that really helps Højbjerg's game. We're used to him being the destroyer, if you like, or the linchpin in the middle. But actually, there's more to his game than that. And if, like I say, with Basuma at the back, I think we saw it, particularly in that first half, both Bentancur and Højbjerg were able to push right onto their defenders and pressure them. And I think it's really hard to play a press of any kind in a 3-4-3, because if you're beaten once, your team is in real trouble. With a 3-5-2, then there's always that extra layer of protection. And I think we saw that on Saturday.
I thought they picked it up in commentary quite a few times. I can't remember who it was. I was kind of flipping different commentaries, but they were saying that, if they lose the ball, there's somebody there. There's an extra man in midfield, which obviously we're not normally used to, because like you just said, if Bentancur loses it or Højbjerg does, then they are, it's on the back, isn't it, on the defenders, and it's they can struggle. And I thought it was quite nice that you had that kind of option, and then you saw Son and Kane being more kind of like strikers. I think that you're saying there about how Richarlison could come on from the bench. He seems to struggle, I think, at right wing. It's not really his kind of position. He's used to playing up front. I said this last Monday. He's better in that kind of position. So possibly in other games he'll get his chance, I think, maybe instead of Son when they play that formation.
Sorry, Becky, but there's a lot of games coming up, a lot of football to be played, and our midfield too have to get through a lot of work every game. So it doesn't hurt to have an extra body in there to take up some of the slack. And obviously, like Seb says, it gives you the two guys license. And I think Bentancur is really good at pressing. When he tries to do it in a 4, he really pushes on at times. So with a 3 in midfield, he can do that as well. And I totally agree about Højbjerg, because obviously it's well known that I'm a big fan of Højbjerg. And but he's got more to his game than just a destroyer. He can get up and down. He can do it all. He's like box to box.
Yeah. Okay. So that was obviously the build up, and then as we had kind of heard before, obviously the very sad news on Thursday, that there was going to be a minute's applause before the game, and THFC flags and Spurs Song Sheet did a great deal on kind of Thursday and Friday, trying to get fundraising for Italian flags, and there was Italian flags being handed out at the Brighton away pub, and then I think we've got a picture in the slides, I think, of the Italian flags, courtesy of Dave, one of Davo's mates, Rick Knott, because I think it was very poignant seeing, obviously, both supporters, sets of supporters, both sets of players who were in black armbands. The players before the game had those special T-shirts, and then the applause, and then they had the shirt at the end, and there's the flag. So the flags, it was a really lovely thing, obviously in such horrendous circumstances, but to kind of show that kind of unity, I think was, and I saw Brighton tweeting yesterday about it as well. It was really, really nice. And then Sky, or the TV company, they then showed Conte, didn't they, at the end of the minute's applause, and that was really sad. And to see how upset he was, it was tricky. And then the game started, and I think because of the change in formation, we started quite brightly. Something we've not really done this season. We were certainly on the front foot. There was, like we just said, those kind of passages of play, and the noise in the away end was superb as always. They were shouting Conte, weren't they? And he sort of waved at them, and it was a good start. Seb, do you think it was a good start?
Yeah, I thought first 15, 20 minutes. I got used to watching, to watching us under Pochettino, where it felt like we just always had the ball. And that's how I enjoy watching Spurs. That's how I enjoy watching any team, is if you've got the ball, you're the ones who can do the damage. And for too long, certainly this season, and obviously under Jose and going back a few years now, it seems like we're quite prepared. And there was still times in this game where we're quite prepared to give the ball away on purpose. I don't like it. Makes me feel uncomfortable. It's not how I would want to win football matches. But for the first 15, 20 minutes on Saturday, it felt like we were just recycling the ball every time. They were defending it, and there was some... excuse me, I'm really struggling here. There was a lot of times where the ball would come back out from Brighton's defence, and we would just pick it up and go again. I did feel, though, that as soon as we scored, the mentality changed. And I really look, I don't like Graham Souness. He never normally has a good word to say for Spurs, but I think he made a lot of good points on the Sky coverage on Saturday, which is, it's just a different mentality. That Italian mentality. He said, he was quite open. I played in Italy. I've managed in Italy. He knows that mentality. 1-0 to them is the best result you can get. It just shows complete control of the game. And it's different. We have to understand there's different ways of controlling the game. And Conte seems to know most of them. And he can control the game through possession, but actually he can control the game through just manoeuvrability and things like that. And I felt it changed after the goal. It was, we're going to get that goal, then we're going to sit in. And as I said on the pod, as we said on YouTube, you're not going to be able to beat us. It's that mentality. You're not going to get through. You can do what you like, but you're not going to be able to get through.
So if we kind of at that point kind of come to the goal. So before that, Bentancur had that shot, didn't he? So after scoring at the Leicester game, which was his first game, wasn't it? He then had that curling shot that Sanchez saved. And then from the following corner, Højbjerg kind of dinked it over, didn't he, to Sonny? And then Sonny cut inside. And Kane kind of like ducked down, didn't he? And sort of like headed it back in. Some were saying it was a kind of deflected header. I think it was quite a good header from him. And as always in our house, there's such euphoria at the goals. I didn't for a second think that it wasn't possibly offside. So when we watched the half time, they were saying it was a chance it was offside. I was like, and a lot of people on Saturday were tweeting that those people that used to put 50p on every match for Kane to assist Son and Son to assist Kane, and they were like, right, well, that's what it was. A great cross from Son, a nice header from Kane, and then like you said, it was nice to sort of score early on and sort of go from there. What did you make of the goal, Craig?
I loved it. Good, typical Kane finish, wasn't it, for me? It was instinctive. It was a great header. I don't think there's many strikers in the Premier League that would finish that header, to be honest. I thought it was a really good, really just a clever instinct play. And it goes back to what I've talked to Gibbo about on the pod about our set pieces now. They have intent behind them. You know, every single set piece we look dangerous from. There's no coincidence that this season we're more productive from attacking corners than I think we ever have. But I can remember for as long as being a Spurs fan as I've been, and I think you saw evidence of that again at Brighton. So I'm always pleased when we score from a set piece. Even more excited when it's a Son Kane link up.
I think that's what I thought was really nice as well. It reminded the was it the Southampton game and the Wolves game? There was 3 or 4 people behind Kane that could have been there to hit it in. So that's the other thing that, like you said, although it's come from a corner, we've got a range of people that could possibly be on the end of it, which I think is really nice as well to see. Kerry makes a good point though in the chat, which we just said then. Seb was saying about how we go 1-0 up, and it was like we kind of went back into our shell again. And why can't we go again and go again and go again and then sit back? Because
Yeah. But I think it's as Seb's alluded to, it's the Italian mentality. It's Conte ball, and we shouldn't. None of us should be surprised by it. It's what Conte does. It's what Conte's done at every club he's been at, and I don't think it's about the formation. That's evidence of that. Playing 3-5-2 does not guarantee you dominating the possession. It doesn't guarantee you having 60-70% of the possession. And I said on the pod on Friday, regardless of the formation, we'll end up with a low 40s percentage possession. And we did. Yeah. We ended up with 41%, which, by the way, is the lowest percentage total all season, apart from when we played Arsenal, when you've got to take some of that into the Royal. So playing 3-5-2 in terms of possession, Seb, you talked about you enjoy it when we've got the ball. It didn't create that for us, partly because we scored quite early on in the first half. But as soon as we get that first goal, it's what we've done all season. We do instinctively get back into a low block and we defend that low block hard. And as you said, Seb, we make it really difficult to break down. We're not this season going to see us. We'll take opportunities if they come on the counter. Of course, we will on transition, which was so effective at Leicester, which was so effective at Southampton and others. But by default, that's not going to be our strategy.
Yeah, the other thing is, things have changed a lot from last season. So, end of last season under Conte, we were scoring for fun. He did miraculously well when it was just the league. We just had the league to concentrate on. That's when we took off, and he fielded Son, Kane, Kulusevski every week. They stayed injury free, thankfully, and we were able to see lots and lots of goals. It's massively changed this season for so many reasons. Obviously, Kulusevski's been out. He's had to introduce Richarlison. It's been a slight change of shape. And I also believe that with the World Cup on the horizon, we are not full pelt. We are not going full pelt to try and win games. Okay? Now, you can make of that what you will, but I maintain there are different ways to skin a cat, and it might not be the Arsenal, everyone's going mad, they can win the league thing. It's more pragmatic, it's more controlled. And look, it's not that easy on the eye, but I think we were all impressed on Saturday, especially with the week that we'd had before, of control. It's controlling the game, controlling the environment. The last team to win at Brighton was Spurs. 7 months they've gone, and they've only lost 2 home games, both to us. So you have to appreciate the degree of control. Absolutely. And also the other thing to add is, yes, we started 3-5-2, and as Craig said, didn't necessarily stop chances or increase possession. But also on the hour, we went back to 3-4-3 anyway. We saw Richarlison come on, and that was a. Some said it was a brave move, but it was the right move. Brighton shifted things about, and Conte reacted to that, which has also been a criticism of him at times, that he hasn't reacted to what the opposition are doing. I think he got everything pretty much spot on Saturday.
Yeah, you said you're absolutely spot on though, mate. When you talk about there's different ways to skin a cat and control it, and there's different ways to win a game. And, I've said previously, I've said it loads of times, that under Pochettino, when we was playing 60, 70, 80% of the possession, we've all been at games when we've seen that and we've failed to win or we've lost 1-0 because we haven't, we've not been able to break down the low block, or we sat there going, we're not creating enough chances. All this possession, we're not doing anything with it. We're playing this different way. And it, as someone said in the comments, it polarizes us fans, but we never look. I never sit. I go to the home games, and I never sit and ever feel like we're not in control, even when we're not in possession, and that's the difference. It's not uncontrolled. We're not giving up territory in an uncontrolled way. Everything we do has got a purpose and a meaning behind it, and half the time is to try and set traps for the counter. It doesn't always pay off, or sometimes it breaks down in that middle third because we don't quite get the flick on, or the pass goes astray, which we've seen a lot of in the last few weeks. But we'll get those games where it does click, the Leicester, the Southampton, where we will go on and we'll score 3 or 4 goals in a game, despite only having low 40s possession.
I think that's what has happened, though, hasn't it, Craig? It's like, we've done that. We've sort of gone into that mode where we're controlling it and let them have possession. And then when we have had those moments to counter-attack, last season, they were coming off and we were like smashing teams. We were scoring lots of goals. Yeah. Whereas this season, it still hasn't clicked. Those final passes and those final balls, it has broke down, or it hasn't clicked, and certain players aren't playing as well as they were last season. And that for Conte ball, as we call it, it's that perfectionism. It's like defending perfectly, and then when you do have that moment to attack, executing what you're doing perfectly, and that just hasn't been clicking. And that's where those frustrations have come in over the past few weeks.
I don't think it's sorry, Seb. Sorry, mate. I didn't mean to have cut you then. You're right, Gibbo. We haven't clicked, and I think we're all waiting for that moment when that front three, whether it's Kulu, Richarlison, Kane, and Son, click. But it's still not. We're still good. If you look at our goals scored in the league, it's still good, right? Kane scored 8 Premier League goals in 8. The only reason that looks bad is because Haaland's a machine down up north, and he's scoring stupid amounts of goals.
Yeah, there's three kind of underperforming areas, if you like. But there's been times where there's actually been other areas as well. But obviously, you look at Son. As much as we love Son, he's definitely just not clicked yet, and we know it happens. We know he goes peaks and troughs, but he's definitely not clicked. And the wing back areas, Perisic has done okay since he's come in, but I don't think he's set the world on fire. He's just been very solid. Sessegnon, I've liked what I've seen so far, but there's something not quite there yet. And obviously, we've got the right wing back issue. Look, for risk of sounding like a Twitter feed, the wing back areas are crucial to Conte's system, and the fact that we're getting these results and we're still playing well and we're still doing well in the league without that happening is brilliant. But I maintain I don't think we'll see much. I want to say improvement. I don't think we'll see much difference in performance before the World Cup. I just think we will hit games and grind them through. And it's not. That sounds awful, because I don't find it boring. I've seen some things online say it's just boring. I don't find it boring. I find it quite interesting. Like I said, different ways to skin a cat. But I don't think we're going to go gung-ho football. And, we're playing Everton, are we, on Saturday? And we absolutely smashed them at home last season, 5-0. I don't think it'll be 5-0 this time. I'd expect a couple of goals, 1 or 2-0. And I think that's how we play. Look, I hope I'm proved wrong. I'd love a goal fest. But I think we're just looking at getting through these games, getting into the last 16 in the Champions League, and then, World Cup break, and then providing everyone's fit after the World Cup, then I think you'll see vast improvement. Well, we've also
got a lot of home games, haven't we? Our kind of more tricky away games are kind of out of the way now. I know we've got United next Wednesday, but they kind of, the West Hams and the Chelseas and those sort of games, Arsenal, so there is a run of home games as well.
Yeah,
Can we talk about the league table, Becky?
Yeah, sorry, it's not tilted in our favour, the fixtures. If we are still where we are come the World Cup, God, we can go on and do something special in the second half of that league, because the fixtures are certainly more favourable to us after the World Cup than this side of the World Cup. Yeah. And I think that goes to some of what you've said, Seb, about we're certainly not all firing at all cylinders, are we? I don't think we are seeing us press as aggressively as Conte wants us to press. And I think but we see it in moments, don't we? We see it in moments in games. And I think that's all part of those triggers. We have those moments where we go full on press, and then but we're not doing it all the time. But I don't think that's anything other than deliberate. I don't think it's anything other than tactical.
It's not just on that point with Caller there. We're not holding back because of the World Cup. I wouldn't even say it's holding back, but I would say we're playing at 80% because there are an extreme amount of games. They won't be doing any if they played Saturday, they play Saturday night, Sunday off, light session today, full session tomorrow, game on Wednesday. That's it. So you can't expect them to be going 100%. They will burn out. And trust me, Harry Kane and others do not want to burn out at this stage in the season. They will be saying to fitness coaches and everything else, what do I need to do to keep myself fit, able at this point in the season?
I think it must be in the back of their mind though, because we've heard, haven't we, about the Wolves guy. The Wolves guy's out, isn't he? And Kyle Walker might be out. And anyone who gets a bad injury at this point is a chance they may not make the World Cup. So it must be in the back of their mind.
I know Colombia aren't going to the World Cup, but Diaz is out until the end of December. So if he was going to the World Cup, he'd be out. It's going to happen. There will be players who will get injured and will miss out, like you say, Kyle Walker. It's just a different way of playing football. He's preserving those players. I have no doubt. The only thing I would like to see is a little bit more rotation, because if you are preserving the players, you can't keep playing them every week. So will we see Oliver Skipp for one, Jed Spence for another? But yeah, look, we're deviating slightly, and I don't want anyone to miss the point. It's not because of the World Cup. It's not. The World Cup's not the issue. It's the fact that there are so many games now, and big games. We've got massive month coming up now.
They're being managed, aren't they? They're managing. Yes. It's what it is. It's managing what we're doing, not like, we got a World Cup, so we've got, it's literally managing the players' fitness levels.
Spot on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to the run sheet. So the next thing it says on here is about Basuma. So I thought Basuma had a good start, but then he got that really silly kind of unnecessary booking, didn't he? Which it reminded me of the last time. I can't remember what game it was because I've got
West Ham
guns in my head. When he came on, didn't he? And he got booked fairly early on, and it just reminded me the same as that. It felt then that the rest of his performance was quite stilted. We didn't really see what he can do, because he then couldn't go in for any kind of tackles. Craig, what was your kind of take on Basuma?
Yeah, I wasn't in awe of what he did on the game. I think he did effectively, but he didn't stand out to me necessarily, and some of that's probably because he was stifled by the yellow card, the same way he got stifled by the yellow card at West Ham, which is just shows that he's got a lot of maturity, a lot of growing up he needs to show, I think, in the next few games, and probably why he's not getting the starts that people want from him, because Conte doesn't have the same levels of trust in him as he does have in the other two. But I thought he was effective. I don't look at it and think he dramatically improves our team as a three in the middle as opposed to when we play 3-4-3, if I'm being honest, is my take on it. I like Basuma. I do think in the long run, don't get me wrong, he is our guaranteed one of the two in the midfield. He will take the place of one of those midfielders, I think, in the long run for Spurs. He's just going to take him time to get up and running to Conte ball.
Gibbo, you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced he'll be. I'm not 100% convinced he will be one of the main two in the middle, but I think he's a really good player, and he's not really been given chance to show what he did at Brighton. But we sort of play a different way, don't we? And Conte saying that he's not. Well, the talk is that he's not tactically disciplined enough to do what Conte wants, and sort of like showed that really by like when he's come on, he got an early booking, and West Ham in Brighton he was booked early on, and then they brought him off. So I thought he sort of did all right. I don't think I agree with Craig. I don't think he pulled up any trees. he was pretty steady and sort of allowed the other two to sort of push up a bit.
Forward.
But he did get caught. He did get caught behind a couple of times. Like, he pushed up with the other guys rather than shielding. Nothing major. Nothing really came from it. But I sort of now, because I've been calling for Bassoon, but you can sort of little bits and pieces. You can sort of see that you can maybe understand Conte's point on it. But I hope he gets more games. The more games he get, the fitter he'll get, the more he'll get used to it, playing in proper games rather than doing it in training. But we'll see. We'll see, won't we? I'm hoping we'll 3-5-2, being able to play that also makes us a little bit different. We're not as predictable. We can switch during games or before a game or, at the start of a game, to just give us something different rather than just sticking to the same old formation and doing the same things. So the quicker we get up to speed, the better.
John's put that in the chat there that it allowed Højbjerg and Bentancur to kind of move further forward, which is, I think, the point that Conte was making, wasn't he? That Bissouma's not yet used to playing that way that he wants him, which is more defensive possibly than Bissouma is used to. But yeah, he's going to have to get used to that. I don't think he's done enough for me to start on Wednesday against Frankfurt.
I'm interested in this clamour about Bentancur getting further forward and where that's come from, because he's not a goal scorer. He's never come to us as a goal scorer. It's just an interesting thought process I've seen a lot over the last few days around Bentancur got allowed to get further forward, Højbjerg got further forward. It's not where their strengths, especially their box-to-box midfielders, mostly, they're not goal scorers.
We haven't got goals.
It's the press. It's not about getting further forward to score goals. It's about getting further forward to put the pressure on.
Because he made that good cross, didn't he, at the Leicester game? I seem to remember one of the crosses that came across, the one that Sonny was sort of fell over himself. That was crossed from Bentancur. So I think he has been told to kind of push further forward.
I put in the chat on Saturday during the game that yes, we were 3-5-2, but actually at some points Bentancur was so wide right that it was almost like a 3-4-3. He pushed on that much onto their wide centre back. I think that it did change the shape slightly. Look, he's not going to score loads of goals. That's not the point. It's the alleviating the pressure, as going back to what I said before, of seeing a team dominate the football.
Yeah.
The Bissouma, whoever, the defensive midfielder means that two more midfielders can push slightly further on.
I do think it's... Yeah, no, I agree. I do think, though, it's as much about an intent thing. We can be 10 yards further up the pitch, 15 yards further up the pitch in a 3-4-3 and press the ball further up the pitch if we choose to do it from a tactical perspective. It doesn't need to be the 3 to do that, is what I'm saying. When Bentancur pressed it.
We go back to the first point. The first point was with 3-4-3. If they beat the opposition, beat your press once, you're in trouble.
That's where you have the But when Bentancur pressed for Leicester, it was in the 2 at that point. Do you see what I mean? We wasn't playing the 3 at that point. So I'm saying the points that I can do, he can do it in the 3-4-3. It just presents additional risk. Yeah. It's interesting.
And the game was quite open that point, wasn't it? And I think it was 4-2 even when he did that. So yeah, it was a different point in the game.
He scored the 3rd goal, didn't they? I think it was the 3rd goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, but when he made that cross, though, when he made that cross, I'm sure it was 4-2 then. So while we're talking about Sonny, Sonny, he took our free kick on Saturday. That was on target. Which
probably got a bigger cheer as the goal that day.
Well, no. First of all, the bigger cheer would have been Kane walking away from it. That would have been that first. Because I sat with Jack and went, "Oh, Jack got a free kick," and he went, "Oh, Kane's got it." And I said, "Oh, Kane's over the ball," and there's Dyer. And then Jack went, "Oh, Kane's walking away." Oh my God, Kane's walking away from the free kick. And then the free kick was, it was on target. It was on target. It wasn't high enough compared to the fact that he scored these 2 for South Korea, hasn't he, recently? But what missed me even?
Crowd?
Nope, didn't hit anyone's shin, which is the last one Kane's did.
So winner.
But match of the day didn't show it in their highlights. That was properly. I even stayed up to the end of match day. I was like, we were last on match of the day. I was like, I'll watch it again on match of the day. And the first chance they showed was the one when Brighton hit it and it kind of went past Luis. So So they didn't even show the Sonny's free kick.
Do you know Harry Kane has more missed free kicks for Tottenham than he does have goals? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Does it?
I bet he has.
No, I made it up. I made it up.
I actually believed you.
Yeah, I did.
Because he takes so many, it's fairly valid.
That's got to be it now, hasn't it? That's got to be nipped in the bud now, surely. Somebody's gone, look, Harry, enough's enough,
Does Perisic take them as well? Is Perisic a decent free kick taker?
I'm not sure.
I thought he was, but he hasn't taken them for us as yet. There was, I think there may have been one in the Wolves game, I seem to remember. But other than
takes corners, doesn't he? He gets on the corners now.
Him and Sonny kind of share them, and then sometimes Perisic takes them as well.
Didn't Conte say the other week that we've got Kane, Son, and Dyer who can take free kicks? He didn't mention Perisic, did he? No, but I'm sure he could take a better free kick than Kane.
Yeah. So
it is actually incredible that someone who strikes the ball so well, penalties, obviously, moving balls, whatever, and he can't take it. He cannot take a free kick. Yeah. It's not even that he's been unlucky or whatever. He's
just rubbish.
He's abysmal. And
Can you remember Shearer taking them? Can you remember Shearer taking them for Newcastle? He scored a few, and he didn't try and do anything fancy. I think he just literally ran up and put his laces through it. Yeah. Power. And Kane's got that skill. I sometimes think to myself, why don't you just literally run up, put a little bit of bend on it, but pick a spot and try and obviously try and put the ball there. But woeful free kick taker. Brilliant player, woeful free kick taker.
Well, now that Sonny's was on target, maybe Sonny will take the next few. We don't really get that many as well. Recently, I don't think we've been getting that many free kicks in those kind of positions either.
Because we're not far enough at the pitch enough of the time.
Maybe not. Yeah, absolutely. So, as we kind of alluded to, Brighton did grow as the half went on. And then they came out of the blocks better in the second half. Like we said, almost as soon as we scored, we kind of went back into that sort of pressure. And then
do you remember any Brighton chances, Becky?
Only that one that Match the Day showed when they kind of hit it.
Sort of had a half chance, didn't he?
Yeah, Lloris kind of dived and it wasn't on target and it wasn't going in. I remember a couple of those, but we've written that in the run sheet that Lloris wasn't overly tested. I can't really remember anything. So
0.66, I think their XG was.
Yeah, and, I saw that.
Yeah. What was our XG? The only time I ever say
not much more. Yeah,
I think ours was 0.77.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't much more. No.
Obviously, there was the Doherty block.
Which
was well timed.
So we're saying in here that Basuma, as we said already, Basuma was taken off. We went back to the 3-4-3, and Richarlison came on. And then I will mention this because obviously it's about Sonny, but he had that curling shot that from the long ball from Dyer. So remember that more than Brighton's chances. So it was and me and Jack celebrated it like the Leicester goals because it's just the way it kind of curled in. And then Dave, my husband, who's a Liverpool fan, sat on the sofa going, "He's offside." I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, it was." Great, but stupid offside rule. But yeah, so obviously that would have kind of tied it up, but that was offside. And then he brought Perisic on for Sonny with 10 minutes to go. And then someone put on Twitter yesterday that we were sort of, was it 6-5-0? Because then, like you said about the block, so as obviously we've kind of taken our attacking players off, Brighton are sort of not really having shots on goal, but they were sort of having kind of passages of play. And then there was that Doherty block in the penalty area. And for me, the massive bear hug from Dyer afterwards showed how important that block was. Because like we've just said, Doherty's not played for a long time. Conte, whether it was taken out of context or not, about whether he wasn't stupid, he didn't want to lose him, matches with him. He was playing well before he then got injured. He's got to get his fitness levels back up. You've got to trust your body when you're going in for those kind of tackles as well. So that was quite an important part. But the flip side of that is that Kane was kind of blocked leading up to it as well, and he sort of hobbled off, didn't he? And then Skip came on. And for anybody that's got Kane in their fantasy league, almost immediately after full time, they put that he was 70% likely to play the next game. He's gone like a yellow colour.
In real life, he's gone yellow.
I had like people on
CBBS tonight. He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even before that, he did a video that night coming back from the game talking about Wednesday. He wouldn't have done that if he wasn't going to be playing.
He's doing quite a bit now at the moment, isn't he? See, like that, I've never seen him do sort of like that live sort of thing he did, and
he's really up in his social management team, social media management team, obviously getting involved because
he's joined TikTok, I think, as well.
Oh, has he?
So,
wow.
Yeah, so he has to do more videos.
Management team's working hard.
He's launched his mental health foundation today, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That's and that's obviously trying to build up a bit of a
and that's on World Mental Health Day.
Yeah. And I have to say that the video that he released, I thought was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
absolutely
brilliant!
Superb.
I haven't seen it yet. I'll watch it later.
It's worth it. It's definitely it's worth a watch, Gibbo. It's worth a mention as well, isn't it? That what he's doing with that foundation, because I tweeted earlier that I love Kane, not just because of the fact he's our best striker of all time, but because he's just the man that he is, and his character and everything. He's a role model, true role model. He really is, and he's inspirational. And the work he's doing with his foundation, I think, is ultimately a bigger legacy for him will be the work he does with his foundation rather than what he wins or doesn't win at Tottenham. But what a man.
Absolutely. And the fact that it was launched on World Mental Health Day as well, and then kind of tying that in, we just said then he did the CBeebies bedtime story, which people were putting on Twitter about. I used to love watching those. I can remember ones with David Schwimmer. My boys would fall asleep and I was still sitting there watching them. I did watch it. I have to say, he speaks really well. He just needed to have a little bit more oomph. As a teacher, and I train the student teachers as well, we try to kind of train them how to read a story and kind of to have that kind of characterization and to sort of, move with the characters and make voices. And he doesn't really do that, which is
he's
unfortunate.
Just not very charismatic. He's a great role model and everything, but he needed to have read it how he reads to his kids. He's got 2 girls and a boy, hasn't he? And he must read bedtime stories, and he should have read it like he would read to them, having a laugh. And he was a bit static, but he said that he's doing another one. So absolutely. To do it.
Well, maybe. Or his wife does it. Yeah. But it's a fantastic thing to do, and they're the thing. This is why it gets on my nerves, the kind of the grief that he gets, because he is role model completely. Like you said about the video, it talks about being pushed back and him kind of having that resilience. He's now launched curriculum materials that he's taken into primary schools, and it just the people that he's going to help from all those things are just fantastic. And he is, as we know, a superb person, and it's just more people seeing that now. So good on him. Yeah. Right, Doherty is the next thing it says in here on my run sheet. So after that block and how important that block was, what did we make of Doherty's performance, Gibbo?
It's all right, wasn't it? He's all right. He is. He did all right. I mean, people obviously were clamouring for him because people like to knock Emerson, but for me, he's no better. I don't think he's any better. I don't particularly rate him. I don't like. There was, I think, Paul Muir put on our Twitter feed earlier about like when he got in the box and he had to lay a ball across to Sessegnon and he just didn't quite do it. I don't think he really gives you anything in the defence. If the people will say, "Oh, he pushes defences back," but he's not the answer. He did all right. I don't know what else to say, really. He doesn't, he don't knock my socks off. I thought he just did a job. I don't think he
Craig,
did.
agree with
I don't
that?
know. Sorry, I don't know if Emerson would have done any worse, but obviously that's what everybody wants to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with Gibbo. I think that Emerson defensively would have been a bit better, actually, to be honest, than Doherty in overall. But he's a bit just did a job. Meh.
Yeah, that's it.
Seb, you agree with that?
No, I don't think he did a job. I don't think he was very good. The first 20 minutes when we were on top, the spoon shot. I can't quite remember what happened. The ball came across.
Kicked it out, didn't he? I was trying to be polite, mate. I just didn't want to rip into him or say because I think he's shite, but I didn't want to say that.
I think he plays well with Kulusevski. All his decent performances, or 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 performances, have been with Kulusevski on the pitch. There's obviously something there where they link up well, but no, I thought it was poor. 4 or 5 out of 10 for me. Missed a key opportunity, missed a couple of tackles.
The volley at the back post.
It was it was the volley at the back post from Sessegnon, and then also he had the opportunity to put a ball in. Within 2 or 3 minutes either side of that shot opportunity that he had. And yeah, look, I've said it before on the pod. I don't going to get pelts for this. I don't mind Emerson because I think what you see is what
Seb,
you get.
I'm with you. I'm with you, mate.
I think
I'm in your camp.
He tries hard. Obviously, the unknown quantity is Jed Spence, but I think it'll be obvious on Wednesday where who has that shirt, and it'll be Emerson.
Emerson will play.
Emerson will straight back in.
Yeah.
Look, Emerson's got stuff to work on, but he's a good footballer. I don't think the only thing that got me thinking this week is obviously we've gone through quite a few right backs or right wing backs over the last five or so years. Did anyone see Trippier on Saturday?
I saw bits. Yeah. Well, only match of the
day. He's
unbelievable.
All this talk about Alexander-Arnold and all that. Trippier can do that. Trippier can deliver a ball like Alexander-Arnold, and I tell you what, he can defend as well. He's the one that I wish, people have talked about Kyle Walker-Peters and Kyle Walker, obviously, and things like that. And, good players, but Trippier is the one. I don't know what went on in that last season where he could not wait to leave. But how no one else came in for him when he went to Newcastle for what? It wasn't a lot of money. Was it 15 million, something like that?
Yeah, 15, something like that.
Yeah,
he is, in my mind, very close with Reece James as the top English right back, right wing back, whatever you want to do. His delivery's just perfect. But yeah, going back to our current three. I'm not sure what to make of Doherty. I think if you offered Conte the chance to get rid of Doherty now,
he would.
He would. 100%.
When Doherty kicks the ball, I'm waiting to hear like a clunking sound. That's how I look at it. Do you know what I mean? Like when he kicks it, I think we watched. I watched a pre-season friendly. I think it was Seville. And like somebody's pinged a ball over to him, and you got someone running down the channel, and he's just sort of got to like touch it down and put it into that space. But it's as if it just like hits his foot and just goes boing off his foot, and there's no finesse to him. There's like you're talking about Trippier. Like when he gets on the ball and he shapes his body and he goes to cross or he lays a ball. There's a bit of finesse about him. He looks like a footballer. Doherty to me is just like I said, just waiting to hear him kick the ball and it go clunk.
I thought he looked very kind of gaunt in the face as well on Saturday. It felt like he was very kind of sunken, whether he's obviously trying to get fit and he's, the fitness regime management, but he looks really sort of, I don't know, ill almost.
Spence has got to be you got to be playing Spence for me over Doherty because Spence is the future. I don't see any future with Doherty. I don't see any future with him. Spence for me would have.
You're assuming though, Gibbo, that Conte sees the future with Spence.
Yeah.
That's the assumption you've made there. There's no guarantee. I don't think we have the answer to that, do we?
No. I'm not sure Conte sees the right attitude in Spence yet in training, and I think until he does, he isn't going to be near the first team.
Yeah,
while we're talking about kicking, what do we think about Lloris's kicking in the last couple of games? Shall I go first? I think it's gone really, really poor. He keeps kicking it out, almost sort of contested. And
when you're talking about last few games, do you mean 10 years? Just kicking.
I feel like I've noticed it.
Brilliant keeper.
I just feel like I've noticed it the last couple of games, though. Just
because I think
it's not his kicking as in going long that I think you're talking about. It's his kicking as in when we're playing it around the defence. That's what you mean.
Yeah, and sometimes he's trying to hit it long and he's hit it out at least three times I can remember.
I raised this on after the Frankfurt game on the pod.
Yeah.
In that, I think the defence are pretty good at playing that ball out from tight spaces. Højbjerg drops in. Emerson when he's played there, but I particularly noticed on that right hand side with Romero, Royale, and Højbjerg, they're able to manoeuvre that ball out of that right wing back position and move forward. But if it goes back to Hugo, it's like it's having kittens time. He's like I say, it's not for me. It's not long kicks. I think he's fine with them. It's when he's trying to be a bit clever and play it out wide to Emerson or something like that. He puts us
like
under pressure.
Like a lofted pass, and he lofts it so much that like a player can go straight over him, or like the player gets time to. He can't like sort of chop
playing him into trouble.
Yeah.
But would I swap him for anyone else? Hugo, no.
No.
I still feel more than content. I think he'll be our keeper for another couple of years.
Would you swap him for Oblak, Seb, the guy I know it's only a rumour, the guy from Atletico Madrid? If that's your option next season, you've got an option to buy him and just say, Hugo, thanks for your service, but we're going to bring this guy in now. Because I don't really know. I know he's highly rated. I've not seen loads and loads of Oblak. I'm just asking a question.
Look, Oblak in my mind is one of the best in the world, but style-wise, he's a completely different keeper to Hugo Lloris. I mean, a completely different keeper. He's commanding on his line, which is something that I don't think Hugo particularly is. He's a very good shot stopper. He reads the game well. He comes out. He directs his defence very well, in my opinion. Oblak is your kind of man-mountain, absolute kind of beast of a keeper, and he can kick.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a complete departure. If we're going down that road, then they're obviously looking for something completely different, in my view.
Yeah.
I
would really like it, but like I say, it's a completely different type of goalkeeper to Hugo.
I think Hugo will stay until we find that replacement, right? And if the right target is there and the right keeper they want is available in the summer, we'll go and get him in the summer. If he's not available, I think we'll stick with Hugo for another season. After that, I don't think I don't see Hugo deteriorating. There's not elements of his game where you look at and go, well, that's going to get worse with another year.
Yeah,
is it? He's where he's at, but he's by
his
far
kicking is what it is.
Yeah, and it's always been the same as you said. It's never changed.
No,
Hugo's come back from a serious injury as well. That's the other thing. I think some of us thought when he had that injury that maybe when he come back, and Gazaniga wasn't that bad actually, despite what some people say. Or maybe Hugo's going to lose his place. He came straight back in. I think if you remember the game, everyone was very surprised. We didn't know that he was fit again. Straight back in, straight number one, and picked up. He was fantastic on his return. I don't think he's going anywhere soon. Obviously, he was talking this summer about Nice, and that's where he's from, and stuff like that. But I can't see it. I think, and I'd like to hope that he'll retire at Spurs.
We have other pressing issues, don't we? More so than Lloris.
Yeah.
At that point, can you put back up the slide with him holding the signed shirt, Gibbo?
Yep.
So obviously, kind of the end of the game finished, and then it was Sonny that brought it on from the side. I noticed. So he walked up. At this point, Conte's going around hugging everybody, isn't he? Like proper man hugging every single player, and then really saluting the crowd. And then Sonny passes the shirt to Hugo because, of course, he's our captain. And then he kind of walked behind the away end, holding the signed shirt, and then. For those of you who've seen the post-match interview afterwards, Sessegnon and Kane are interviewed, aren't they? And Kane, finds it quite tricky to talk, and that was really quite hard to watch. Talking about how it affected the players that week during training and how much of a shock it was, and how they kind of wanted to get the result for Gian Piero. And then that shirt was taken to the funeral yesterday. And a lovely bit of news today is that they've planted a tree, haven't they, before training today, which I think is lovely as well. I think it said it was an Italian evergreen oak.
I don't think the players could get to the funeral, could they?
No.
I think so. That's really good that they got to sort of like pay their respects in that way. Because I think Levy and obviously the coaching staff went and some of the more higher people at the club, but the players couldn't go. So. It's good that they've got to sort of pay their respects in that way to him.
Okay, so let's move on to Frankfurt on Wednesday. Obviously, we saw Frankfurt last week, so this is this kind of like tapered kind of fixtures, isn't it, where it kind of goes back on itself. So we've got Frankfurt at home on Wednesday. I must admit, this is where I don't know anything about formations. What I do know, though, is that they lost on Saturday. I did actually found that bit of information out by myself. Because last week they beat Union Berlin, who were top of the league, and this week they've lost to the team who were bottom of the league. But according to HG, yeah, something like that. But HG said that they made 4 changes on purpose. They also changed formation. I don't really know. Anybody got anything to add about Frankfurt, about what they think Frankfurt will do or could do? Or
same again, I'd imagine. I don't think they'll deviate too much from what they did at home. They played a tight game at home, so I wouldn't expect them to kind of go out all guns blazing away from home. It's a big game, win pretty much. Barring the disaster, I think, sees us there or thereabouts. So we'll see.
I think their game at the weekend, they rested, didn't they? Quite a few players, I think. They rotated quite a few players. Yeah. And that just goes to show the importance they're putting on this game tomorrow night, actually, and the priority they're putting on it. As Seb said, we've got to win, really. It is a must-win game in terms of wanting to secure qualification out of the group. It's going to be a tough game. It is going to be really tough tomorrow.
We'll go back to 3-4-3
tomorrow,
won't we? Yeah. They won't have much to play against tomorrow. It's on Wednesday night, mate.
What day is it today?
Monday.
I'm 1 day ahead. It's not going to cold me. Otherwise, I would have got up tomorrow, took my Tottenham stuff, and got ready to get the train at halfway for the afternoon.
We'll probably match up with them, won't we, Seb? Do you think we'll go back to 3-4-3?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I think it'd be 3-4-3. The only thing that worried me after the Brighton game was when Conte said about the change of formation and what was the reason for that. He didn't say, change formation because we wanted more control, or change formation for any kind of tactical reason. It was because Kulu's injured and Lucas is injured, and I need to rest one of my strikers. And the only way that I could do that was by playing 3-5-2, which took away, in my mind, kind of all the benefit, all the things we've spoken about, all the kind of having more control and recycling the ball and different ways to skin a cat and all the things that we talked about. He kind of just decimated that with I've got to rest one of my strikers. They can't play every game. I think we will go back to 3-4-3, and I think we'll probably play 3-4-3 at the weekend as well. You just hope, and obviously, this goes back to what we said about the World Cup and everything else. If we play one of those and one of them gets a knock, then we're forced into doing things rather than it being a choice. But yeah, I do think we'll go 3-4-3. I think we'll see Højbjerg and Bentancur in the middle. I think Perisic will come in for it because it's Champions League and it has more experience, more control. As I said, I think Emerson will come in, and then it's probably just a choice between Longley and Davis. Just going back, just one thing I wanted to say that I forgot to say about the Brighton game. I thought it was Romero's best game for a while. It was old Romero. He looked like he was back and at it, trying to win balls, just being that nuisance, not giving anyone any time. He actually led, I don't like saying defenders leading a press, but he actually was. He was coming out, particularly helping Doherty out on that right-hand side, hitting their midfielders quick and not giving them any time. So hopefully, I think he's been off it slightly. I know he's had a knock in the earlier part of the season, but hopefully now he's back to where he wants to be.
Do you think that was just fitness with him? Like that he had that injury and it's just getting those games back in? Because we probably brought him back in probably before he could have probably done with an extra week or so, but
his game is all about it. His game is all about intensity.
Physicality,
bang, bang, non-stop, bang, bang, bang. So if he's at 80%, it doesn't look the same.
No.
A couple of times again he got forward. He was at one point he was the furthest man forward in an attack against Brighton, and that's what we kind of know that he does. That's what he's about. So, like I say, if he's at 80%, it doesn't happen, and he doesn't look right on the pitch.
And like last season, when we were playing really well, like you said at the end, he started quite a few attacks, didn't he, for us? So when he's not doing that, we sort of miss that there. So that's we need him back at that sort of yeah.
The one thing about the Frankfurt game I heard the other day is that it's Conte's 50th game. And when I told Jack that, Jack was like, wow, how's that gone so quick? We know that obviously he's been here a year next month, hasn't he? But that also shows how many games Spurs are playing, with it being Conte's 50th game.
Well, we seem to just play all. We seem to be all the time playing games
twice a
don't we?
week.
Obviously,
Every time.
twice a week. You know.
Yeah.
End of last season.
Predictions. What are our predictions then, Craig? What's your prediction?
I think the team is going to be exactly as Seb's described. Prediction. I've got to go for a win for Spurs, but I think it's going to be a very, very tight affair. 1-0.
Okay, Gibbo?
I think it'll be 2. I think we'll win 2-0 or 3-1, something like that. I think we'll, if our front three click, I think we'll win it not reasonably comfortably, because it'll be a tough game. But I think I fancy us to win it.
You think we'll be more clinical? You think you'll be, because we had chances the first game.
Yeah, I think I thought like Frankfurt was better, obviously better than Arsenal, but we sort of started to look a little bit better. I was really frustrated. Ironically, I was really frustrated on here, and the pod was completely the opposite. But I was so frustrated that Frankfurt was like, for me, just like Sporting. When I know you say like Frankfurt, that's a good point away from home, but for me, we were better than them. And if we'd have sort of like been clinical in the right areas, we'd have won that. So for me, it was like 2 points dropped. Yeah. But I think we started to look better again, kick on from Frankfurt against Brighton. So I'm hoping that'll happen again. And if we can do that, I fancy us to beat Frankfurt at home, like I said. So I'm going to go for 2-0 Spurs.
Seb?
Yeah, I agree. 2-0. That's what I would. That's what I predict, and I just think there'll be hopefully an element of control. I think what we've missed and what we got obviously against Brighton is an early goal. We get obviously the last 2 Champions League games we haven't scored. The first one was very, very late. Richarlison, and they had to have a man sent off before we kind of took control of the game. I would love at home, especially in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of pushing us on. First half goal would be nice, but early, as early as possible, just to kind of kick us on.
I think if we sort of like have the minute's applause for Gian Piero before the game, and with all those, I know we did it at Brighton, but this is at home with our own fans behind us, and and I don't want, obviously it's an awful thing, but maybe use what's happened in a positive light. Hopefully the club can, to spur us on, and go and get that and get after Frankfurt early and nick a goal. Like Seb said, if we can get an early one, hopefully that will do the job. Yeah. So I wasn't that impressed with them, to be fair. I know they've been sort of like pretty good over last season. They won, but they've been pretty inconsistent this year, by all accounts. So
yeah, they have. Yeah. My prediction is 3-1. I think I'd never bet a nil. I know we had a nil on Saturday, but it just always feels so rare. But yeah, 3-1. 3-1, I think. Midfield. But we all seem to think we're going to win, don't we? We need to win. I think that helps as well. The fact that we need to win, don't we? We can't just play it safe and have a draw. Yeah. We need to win, which makes a difference.
I would be surprised if their centre-back, Hasabi, plays as well on Wednesday as he did last week against Kane. He really did a job, actually. For 38 years old, it was incredible to see. But I'd be surprised if he plays that well again, and therefore I think there's opportunities there. So I think we'll go after him. I hope we go after him. Yeah, that's what I don't want, is play it cagey. Let's not do that. Let's go in and try and win the game early on.
Do you think there's any thought that Conte obviously switched to the 2 and he said, I've done it to rest a forward. Do you think there's any danger of him actually thinking Son, Richarlison and Kane don't actually work that well as a 3? And that's really why he went to the 2, but he doesn't want to say, oh, that's why I'm doing it. He sort of used that as an excuse. Do you think there might be a danger of that?
I think it's as much to do with he wants to play 3-4-3. It's his preferred formation, isn't it? So, and in the absence of Kulu, he will start those 3. Is my gut feel. So that's his. I'd say 3-5-2. As I said on the pod several times, in my opinion, is always going to be his backup, isn't it, as opposed to his default.
It was his main at Inter. Obviously, that's what he played, but I suppose that's what he had the players for at Inter, was 3-5-2.
Yeah.
Here he sees it. But I don't think with Richarlison, I don't think of the front three when you've got Richarlison, 3-4-3 is, because I don't think Richarlison plays. I don't think that right-sided attacker is his game.
I've said that. I need to play up front. Yeah.
He's either down the middle or off the left, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They do rotate it round in a 3-4-3. They do move around. Richarlison isn't always on the right.
Thinking about it to Everton, it'd be interesting to see what he does at Everton and whether he starts with Richarlison as well, because obviously he started Basuma at Brighton. Spence came on at the Forest game, so it'd be interesting to see what happens with Richarlison at the Everton game as well. Right, the last thing that it says on my run sheet, and my nose is really, really running now, is there were talks mid-afternoon that that apparently we're in talks to be naming rights with Google. Cue all of the jokes about Googling and what Google is. There was lots of Danny Rose points as well. Does everyone know about the thing about Danny Rose? He said once that he didn't know who the players were and he had to Google them. So I heard that again today. What do we make of this, Gibbo? Possibility of it being the Google Stadium?
Well, I think obviously Levy's asking for 25 million. As we've been in talks with some, by all accounts, some like sort of high profile companies and stuff like that. But if they can get it, that's what they're after, isn't it? They're after a big naming rights deal. Google's one of the biggest sort of like brands out there, so. I mean, it is what it is. It's for me, it'll always be White Hart Lane. So, but it's
the other companies were Uber Eats, I think, and
Amazon wasn't it? And was there another one as well?
Was FedEx one of them?
FedEx,
quite American, aren't they? Very Americanized. Has anyone been to the NFL games or anybody? Of anyone?
Steve Diver has.
That's right. Yes, he did. I saw his pictures yesterday. I had people tweeting me about the cheese room thing about it.
Steve, there could be a Tiddlywinks competition at the stadium, and Steve Diver would be
there. But not in the stands. He'd be up in the posh seats, wouldn't he, watching the Tiddlywinks?
Did you see the picture he posted of armchairs? There was like a row of armchairs underneath where Levy sits, and he put he's taking an armchair view into new heights. I think so. But going back to kind of revenue, those two games for the NFL, yesterday was a record, wasn't it, for the London NFL, and it's all money. We just hope that money goes back into the team.
Bring the money in.
The amount of time, I watched a little bit on ITV yesterday, and the amount of times the commentator went at the Tottenham Stadium, at the Tottenham Stadium. He said it almost every other sentence. So, he said it enough times. People knew where it was. So.
I think there's obviously a big draw to get that American market in. So the companies that you've mentioned make sense. I don't think it matters. I'm a bit greedy, but I was surprised at the amounts when I checked, with similar sponsorship. It's not as much as I thought. £25 million a year doesn't seem like a lot. But also, if I'm the boss of Google, which would be lovely, then I'm kind of wondering why I'm chucking 25 million quid a year for a name. Google doesn't need that. I don't get it. I don't quite get it.
I saw somebody else put that mid-afternoon. They were like, pretty much everybody on the planet now who has internet access knows what Google is. So who is it kind of targeting at?
I do think though, whatever brand spends the money, we're all going to know it's going to be a household name, isn't it? Whichever way you look at it.
I just wanted Amazon because Amazon Arena sounds better than
it does.
Anything else.
Google Arena.
As Gibbo said, it's always going to be White Hart Lane to me, but I want the biggest bang for our buck. So if Amazon are going to, or FedEx or whoever are going to spend 25, 30 million pounds a year to have the name on our stadium, I'll take the money. Thanks very much. I do think our biggest what I do see happening and being a real changer is when there's a London-based NFL franchise based out of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and we're going to see fortnightly NFL games out of there. I think that's going to be, a real money changer, a game changer for us.
That was the thing. I tweeted that yesterday. It's nuts that can go from an NFL pitch to for a football pitch back with the grass by Wednesday. So that shows that they can turn it around, can't they? In like 48 hours. That's nuts that they can do it that quickly.
What are the other sort of stadium revenues that they get for their Seb? that you've
They
looked
don't.
into? What?
Yeah, as I say, I don't know. They
Apparently,
don't
City is ridiculous, but like, I'm not quoting Diver directly here, but it was something like it's not quite straight in terms of the money that they come in, because it's all linked in with other things. It's something like £600 million, 600 million. Oh no, 60. So something. It was like £670 million, but over 10 years or something like that. The Emirates isn't as much as you think, and they've renewed their deal. And then Todd Klein, the guy who's responsible for this, I think, did a similar deal. Look, I might be a little bit off here, but it was Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, no, it was the Hard Rock Stadium.
There you go, and that was £250 million over 10 years. So I think that's where this kind of idea has come from. Look, it's all pie in the sky, and it's all figures that we could never really get our head around. I'm sure Levy will do the right thing. I also feel like if it's paid yearly, it's not the hugest amount of money in the world, so he can afford to wait. You know, as you've said, with the other revenues that are coming in, but it's all good. It's all good for Tottenham. As much as I hate the money side of it, and trust me, I really do. You know, when you hear these figures banded around, you know, Erling Haaland on £900,000 a week. I hate to say it, it's disgusting. It's horrible.
It is.
It makes no sense to me. You know, and I've said, I don't know, I think I said it before we came on, where we're cutting back as a family. I would love to go, and I could normally afford to go to the Champions League game against Sporting. It's going to cost me £200. I haven't got the money. I can't really legitimise going, and yet there's all this money being bandied about. You know, and when times are hard. So, as much as I hate it, however, you have to compete, and unfortunately, competing means spending money and bringing money in, and therefore, like I said, it's a necessary evil if you want to go that strong with it. But I'm sure that Levy will get the right deal, and like I say, he can afford to wait. I think he'll probably have a list, not only a list that he wants to target, a list of companies that are targeting the name.
I always thought it would be Nike, because of having the Nike kit sponsor, and the teams that play in the NFL that have come have been Nike linked as well. Yeah. I just thought it was always going to be Nike, and that was, you know, to continue that whole idea that the Emirates was, you know, it was on their shirts, wasn't it? And the Emirates, it was all kind of the same with Etihad. It's all kind of connected, and therefore the Nike thing would all be connected. But
Nike sponsor the whole of the NFL, don't they? That, you know, every kit's made by Nike. Everything's made by Nike in NFL.
That shows how little I know about it.
No, but I think that's what they do. So, like you're saying, that would have been, I think, early doors. A lot of people thought would be Nike. We're sponsored by Nike. Nike a big part of the NFL, so would have made sense.
Yeah, but like Kerry's put in there, you know, Google's not the worst name. It's like when Craig said then about FedEx. You're trying to kind of think of like connotations that people can put into it. FedEx, there'll be like comments about delivering right there. Like
sounds very NFL. The FedEx Stadium.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think we'll leave it there. I need to go and blow my nose. Thank you for everyone that's been watching and joining in the chat. We do appreciate it. And for everyone watching at home or watching it tomorrow. We're back on Wednesday. I think there's a post match show straight after the Frankfurt game. So that'll be great. You could tune in for that. Are you doing that, Gibbo?
Me, HG, and I think we've got one of the guys from the Patreon having his first go on YouTube. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Hopefully that's all going to be good and positive and everyone's delighted. And then we're back on Friday for the preview of the Everton game. I was saying before off air, if luck be with me, I'll be at the next 4 games from Everton onwards. So that'll be great fun. But, yeah, thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm going to go and hide under a duvet. Oh, hi, cat. Thanks for my fantastic panel tonight, keeping me going. Craig, thanks for being on. And your cat.
No, thank you for having me. Enjoyed the conversation as always.
What's your cat called?
Albie.
Albie? Oh, that's a nice name. We have to have cat because John's got cats and I've got cats. Mine are always locked out. They're out there. They're not allowed.
That's where he wants to go. He wants to go out.
Yeah. Mine are usually fighting outside the patio door. In fact, one sat there now. But yeah, great to be on with you. Thanks for that, Craig. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gibbo, thanks again, and thanks for pressing buttons and things.
No, I tried my best. Hopefully it was all right. Yeah, loves talking Spurs, so happy to be on. Thanks for having me on. Hope you're better for next time we're on together, Beck.
I'm fine. It's only a cold. And Seb, thank you very much again. We're
No
nearby.
problem. Thank you for having me on. I'll be doing a pod, I think, on Wednesday, and hopefully it doesn't sound completely different to the YouTube like I did after the last
we were
Champions
complete
League
opposites
game.
last time.
Not a problem. It's not a problem. It's all about opinions, isn't it? So they can be different.
Hold on,
And
let
we
me
can
get
still
me
be
buttons.
friends.
I've got to press buttons. It was great. Like I said, thanks everyone for watching. And at that point we say, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you
Come on,
Spurs.
you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.